The primary function of the highest caste, the Brahmins, is the preservation and transmission of the traditional doctrine. The discharging of this office provides the real reason for the existence of such a caste, since the whole social order rests on the basis of the doctrine, outside of which it cannot hope to find those principles that alone confer stability and the power to endure. It is only by an effective participation in the tradition that anyone is enabled to play a correspondingly effective part in the life of the community. This is the real and complete explanation of the spiritual and intellectual authority belonging to the Brahmins. At the same time, this also explains the deep bond that unites the disciple to his master, not only in India, but also throughout the East, a relationship that has no parallel in the modern West. The function of a teacher is in fact a true spiritual fatherhood, and that is why the ritual and symbolic act by which it is inaugurated constitutes a second birth for the man who is to receive the teaching through a regular transmission. This idea of spiritual fatherhood is accurately expressed by the word guru, which is the name given to a teacher by the Hindus, and which also bears the secondary meaning of ancestor. The traditional teaching is handed down under conditions that are strictly determined by its nature. To produce its full effect, it must always be adapted to the intellectual possibilities of each man to whom it is offered, and should be graduated according to the degree of understanding reached at any given moment. And this demands on the part of a recipient who aspires to advance still further an unremitting personal effort to assimilate effectively the teaching imparted to him. This is a natural consequence of the way in which the doctrine is treated as a connected whole, and it is this fact that makes necessary the oral and direct teaching, which nothing else can replace. Indeed, in its absence, the chain of a regular and unbroken spiritual filiation is bound to be broken. Easterners are free from the all too common illusion of the West, which consists in believing that everything can be learned from books, with the result that memory is set up in the place of intelligence. For the Easterner, text counts as no more than supports, and their study merely furnishes the basis for an intellectual development itself. In this way, erudition is given its proper value and is placed on the lower level that normally belongs to it, as a means subordinate and accessory to true knowledge. The European system of education, surely the most imperfect of any, has been called into being through the mania for equality, which has destroyed not only the true notion of hierarchy, but also every trace of feeling for it as well. The Easterners, on the other hand, are resolutely opposed to all popularization. The reason is that by attempting to bring down the doctrine to the level of the common mentality, it must inevitably be distorted and denatured in the process. It is not for the doctrine to abase itself or to conform to the limited powers of understanding of the many. It is for individuals to rise, if they can, to an appreciation of the doctrine in its integral purity. This is an indispensable condition for the formation of an intellectual elite, which will take place by a natural process of selection, since each man must necessarily stop short at the degree of knowledge corresponding to his own mental horizon. It also furnishes a protection against the manifold disorders brought by the diffusion of a semi-education that is far more deadly than ignorance pure and simple. The Easterners will always be far more conscious of the drawbacks of compulsory education than of its supposed benefits, and, as it would seem, with ample justification.